Okay, so before we get into the scoring portion of it, let us try to also look into the quality of the statements, whatever you have done for the result criteria also. Maybe or else we can take the scoring of both the criterion tomorrow. We will see how much we progress today. Now, yesterday we spent considerable amount of time in both day for yesterday and then yesterday in terms of the quality of statements, whatever all of you had written for the OPIL, for the criterion 2. Now let us try to understand it as to what is it that how many of you have been able to get all the points. How is it that we have been able to get more importantly, different points from one another so that we are able to get more OFIs. Let us try to go through the strengths and OFIs. Now here I have tried to put in whoever has sent in. I have tried to put in all the strengths and OFIs over here. Now let's try to understand the markings now. As I said, let me just try to go through a few of the random ones. So the data, what I want you to do is now look at what is the quality of the statement, look at the marking, whether is the marking appropriate or not, whether it is written well or not. That is what we are trying to look at. So what does the first one say? Data furnished in the position report shows that there is an increasing trend in the profit per employee and human capital value. It has also been observed that amongst the competition, BPCL has recorded the highest profit per employee against IOCL. So all of you agree with this? Is this a strength? Is this a strength? Okay, many of you are saying yes. Is there a better way of writing it? Let us try to look into a few others as to how somebody else has also written. Let's see. Anybody else has written the same strength in a different way? Okay. I'm trying to look for a similar strength if somebody has written. Strange, out of the so many, why is it that many of you have not commented on the financial results at all? Because one of the first thing what we said is if you have to qualify somebody as excellent, financial excellence was one of the cornerstone. So except for one or two of you, not too many of you have done it. Let me try to look into this. Yeah, I think Anil is saying that he has done. Yes, productivity of the employees demonstrated, profit per employee. Now the difference between the first one to this is you're saying that profit per employee has increased from 58 to 66. So this is where I said that you must be a little bit specific. This is good. Now, during the consensus, you must combine the statements. Now, for example, here, I think if I'm right, Amit has said that profit per employee has gone up from 58 to 66. Now he said comparison by BPCL has been made with peer companies shows that BPCL is better. But here our friend is also saying by how much it is exceeded. Somewhere somebody else, highest profit per employee against IOCL and HPCL with the figures. So it shows a superior level of performance. So whenever while you are saying that it has got a much better one, but it would be good if you are able to attribute a figure to it so that it is much easier for us to do the scoring, because higher the percentage, then the higher will also be the scoring what we can give them. So do not keep it in your mind. Write those metrics saying that it has gone up from 58 to 66. It is better by 3 or 4% when compared to IOCL or probably HPCL. Then it is easier for us with that barometer to give a much better score. Next, who else? Engagement, comparison to the where. Fair enough. I think at least 3 to 4 of you have written on the financial excel portion of the financial excellence portion of it. That is something that is good. Then anybody else? Okay, so strength companies can say this is for criterion 2. I don't know why I copied that. Maybe there was a mistake. Number of beneficiaries. But in a few of them, I'm not saying numbers. You must write numbers. You are saying that number of beneficiaries are being provided as well as the number of students intervened for the improvement in quality education has declined. The reasons for the same are not clear. Skill development training as well as improvement in quality has declined. Okay. And what else? Now we are saying that I'm just trying to take some few things on a random thing. You are saying that the company has secured an excellent performance rating in its MOU. Here an industry recognition has been. Now, all these ideally should not come in 6B. The problem is, Mujtaba, you're not able to hear me? Vandana is also saying no audio.
Can I request them just to log out and log in again?
Vandana, Mujtaba, you can log out and log in once again. Others don't see a problem at the audio, from the audio. Okay, so let me go ahead with this. Now we are saying that the applicant's pursuit of performance excellence is something like they have got an MOU rating of excellent from the Ministry of Petroleum as well as peer recognition. Even though the company has given all this, these all come under 6A. These are all perceptions. This is actually not performance. The company might have given the information over here, but this is a strength, no doubt. But you must cut and paste this in 6A. This should not come in 6B. This is not a lead indicator. The lead indicator is the data which they measure or which the company can measure at any point of time, and where the number of data points are much more higher. Data is available to you straight away, like for example, number of complaints, number of open complaints, number of grievances, number of ideas, money that has been saved. These are all the lead indicators. Now, applicant has, you have also given this steady applicant in HCM. Here you need to write the numbers. So the numbers are not here. So numbers need to be written. Next, the company has an approach of visionary leadership. The results of the 360 applied for leadership is coupled with the Ascent program is exhibited. Now, here Zia, you are saying that these things are there, no doubt, but you must comment on the numbers. And you must not say the output seems to be relevant. No. You need to say, for example, if they are trying to talk about visionary leadership and planning with emphasis on leadership development, they said that they have created a leadership pipeline. So what is the leader? What is the quality of the leadership pipeline? Against how many? What is it that they have been able to achieve? How many numbers? And they have also said that this is what is the number of positions what we have also filled because of our internal talent pool. It would be better for you to talk about that over here. That is better. Then I think talent management and learning organization is very important. So you have talked about L&D. This is good. Again, there are no numbers over here. So one feedback over here is this should have numbers. Only when the numbers are there, then we will be able to score results, or else it is very difficult to score the results. Next, decrease in the resignation of the new recruits taken through GATE and campus, which shows the impact of engagement, talent management and L&D, and also reducing attrition and engaging the millennials. Fair enough, I think point taken. It's a good strength. So scope, it is green. Why? Because it talks about recruitment, etc. Because the company is also growing. A relevant result, not a problem. Integrity, we assume that it is there. segmentation, we have not commented anything on the segmentation. So you can better to make this blank. If you are wanting to say, if you are wanting to talk on the segmentation, then you must also say maybe either because in different business verticals, etc., how much has been the recruitment. If you are able to give that, then they might have taken or not taken, but your statement is not talking about the segmented information here, due to which this must not be marked. Now, when you are saying trends are good, it means there is a decrease in the resignation of the new recruits. See, there is a better way of trying to write this. Don't say that there is a decrease in the resignation of the new recruits. Say that the retention of the new recruits is much better. Try to give a positive flavor to it. Because you are anyway giving it as a strength, right? So why you don't give it a negative flavor, even though technically this is a strength, but you can write it in a different way. You say that the retention percentage of the new recruits taken through GATE and the campus selections is much better. The stickiness is more. That also shows that they are probably an attractive employer or whatever it is. That is I would say a summary that you can also try to bring out based on your own analysis. That could be a better one. And Shubhadeep, you are asking, can strengths have site visit issues? It can be there for 2 or 3, but not for all. Then or else, आप पूरे report को आप you are doubting. You will never have the time to look into each and every strength and validate it. OFI is 100% mandatory to have a site visit, to have a site visit question, and also to have a clarification. But for the strengths, only 2 or 3 which are very, very important or where you have an element of doubt, it is okay. Otherwise, may not be required for each and everything. Grievances has gone down. Now, I said that instead of these elements, use a key factor. Now, let me slowly teach you the concept of a key factor. Now, is grievance a very important factor for BPCL? Can you open up the mics and then share your thought? Is grievances, is it an important KPI for BPCL?
The numbers reported are very, very low in comparison to the total number of employees. Plus, there is no segmentation of the people, basically, whether they are which age category, which whether they are executive or non-executive, that has also not been indicated.
But what I'm saying is grievance a very important indicator for BPCL?
No, because the number are very low.
So I would say yes, because considering that they have been able to identify that millennials are one of the concern areas for attrition. If attrition is one of the important attributes, then grievances lead to attrition. So yes, it can be a key factor.
Mm-hmm. So
I agree that grievance is one of the important things in BPCL because of the attrition rate, which they are concerned about and they take it as a challenge.
But why would you think that grievance is there only because of attrition? Grievances could be for anything, no? Or is it only specific only with attrition?
Grievances gives us a fair idea about what is wrong with many HR processes, maybe promotion, maybe transfers, maybe career development, many things. And the number they are showing is not the number of grievances submitted. They are saying that number of grievances redressed. So that is why the number is come. Number is less because it is not the total number of grievances submitted. They have not spoken about that.
So the point over here is, while you write a strength or the OFI depending upon the point of view that you are holding, you said, for example, how many of them are open, what is the segmentation of the grievances, etc. Those are some of the site visit issues that you must be asking. If in doubt, put it as an OFI and also have an associated site visit question. That is always better. And then there was one strategic thing. Let me just try to read it out from the. Now, when you go to this HR vision, 9 themes and strategy, because day for yesterday we did that criterion 2. Criterion 2 mein they also said deliver best in class HR services. According to you, if they would want to deliver the best in class HR services, 6 EMA, they can always ask the perception of the people on the service level. Now, what is a lead indicator for this? Could there have been a lead indicator? Time that is required to close the complaints, satisfactory closure, or the rating in terms of how they have been able to. That can be a good OFI for you. And for that, the key factor, what I am also trying to say is the key factor says deliver best in class HR services. Now, according to you, what points that these people should have given some lead indicators in 6P on services? What are the services that
agreements.
HR offers?
Maybe service level agreements could be a lead indicator for that, but they have not mentioned it. Yeah.
You are right. What could be the service level indicators? What parameters could it have been on? On which areas rather?
Time and quality of services.
One is time, another is quality. It could be leave processing, or it could be an LTA processing, or it could be approval of something. There are many services that HR delivers, correct? No? So if there is an OFI, on that, if the lead indicators have not been presented, you can give a very good OFI saying that the key factor for that, I'm trying to connect to the key factor now. The key factor can be connected to, in the case study on this page number 36 in the strategy section, one of the as a part of the 9 themes of the under the HR vision and strategy is saying that deliver best in class HR services. You can say while best in class HR services is one of the themes as a part of the strategy, data relating to the same is not presented. The service level agreements and the relative performance for those services are not presented. That will be a very strong OFI under the scope, because it is there as a part of the strategy. If there is a strategy, either there should be a lead or a lag indicator. Now, in the lead indicator, as you rightly said, they could have given an SLA. They're not given against anything. So that becomes a very strong OFI, and that is how you use a key factor. Now, have you, I am asking a question because it is very difficult for me to read through. Maybe you can go by the initials. You can say that which is the one that you have addressed so that I can pick up the right one. Now I am going into the strategy portion of it. It is saying the company has got a focus on high performing work environment. If the company has got a high performing work environment, what lead indicator you would have loved to see? Is there any lead indicator to do with a high performing work environment? Can somebody share?
Number of fast track promotions.
Good. Number of fast track promotions, because that is also about meritocracy. Next. Something else? It could also be some recognitions, correct?
Maybe targets for performance indicators. There are no set targets measured given there.
No, this is about only high performance, not about the PMS process as it is only about high. When you say high performing work environment, either it could be fast track promotions or it could be maybe I am not very sure about few of the things what you do in the public sector. Maybe it could also be some recognitions, if not a reward, because reward always has an element of finance in it. I'm not trying to talk about the tangible financial portion of it, but there could be many other ways by which you can look at high performing work environment. Have they given any data on these parts? Is there any lead indicator given?
They have spoken about HighPods in the position report, but no numbers in the results are given for that.
See, HighPods, they will speak because it is right, because they are also saying that they are wanting to have a very clear focus on the talent pipeline, because people are moving out. It is attrition, natural attrition is also high. They are saying that they are wanting to enhance the leadership capability. That is also one of the main focus of the leadership and also L&D. To that extent, talent they have given. But other than the talent management group, but still the high performance could also coming from the other areas, no? Like, don't you also see, let us say, high productivity awards, etc.? Is that not a good validation of a high performer in his particular area? They could have given the data. Number of people who have been recognized for some exemplary performance or something, which should be aligned to that high performing work environment. So we are qualified in terms of giving an OFI, saying that while you are saying that you are wanting to develop a high performing work environment, while that is one of the focus, we do not find the evidence of any lead indicators such as number of high performers identified or recognized, or maybe some productivity award or something. We are not able to see that. So we are trying to tell them that, look, you have got a strategy, but connected to the strategy, you don't have a lead indicator, you don't have a metric at all. So the scope, the OFI will again be on the scope. The more we hit on the scope, the lower will be the score. Please remember, any strengths and OFIs, whatever we give, whether it is 6A or 6B, first you must look at all the strategic themes and the strategic challenges. Any lead indicators associated with the HR strategy, they should first take center stage. Then the others should come in. Right? So that can be another OFI. Next, there has been a decrease in the man-day loss due to the strikes and stoppage of work. That is fine. So it is a relevant and usable result. You have also given the why is it that you have, okay, you have not put it on the comparison, you have put it only on the targets. Okay. While the number of candidates selected by the panel for leadership position through the succession planning for LPG has been indicated at 12, there is no mention of the eligible population target and the trend. But here, while you have given an OFI on this, but they have also given quite some data in terms of how they have been able to fill up many of the leadership positions also internally. So there is also a strength also. While you are going specifically only to the LPG portion of it, but at a broad level, don't you think that their internal, I would say, pipeline is good enough to address that? Is that a strength or an OFI? Can somebody share that? Is it a strength or an OFI? Internal talent pipeline as well as filling up of the vacant positions through internal accruals. I think that comes out as a strength. This OFI is only on the LPG portion of it. Fair enough, but at a macro level, at least it appears to be a strength. So we must identify that as a strength. There is no, in the training mandates regarding L&D, training man hours have been mentioned across the different business units. There is no evidence of trend or achievement vis-a-vis the target of training. Now here again, now training, while you are given OFI, is there also a strength? No, you have not given a strength on the training, but there is only a OFI over here. But to be fair to the applicant, they have given you also the number of training hours have gone up, the number of training, the training budget has also gone up, the number of training man hours have also gone up. And they were given the data in terms of the LPG or refinery or many other things also. So while an OFI is welcome, but at the same time, you must not discount some of the strengths. So the strengths are also very good in terms of at least the L&D portion of it. Training budget, number of people trained, and number of training programs organized or whatever is introduced. It is also a very good strength. So you must you must also give them a strength. Please remember that as assessors, our responsibility is not only to give OFIs, to also give credence to the strengths. It should be a balanced report of both strengths and OFIs. Next, what else? Again, that attrition, I think many of you have already written that. Then the attrition rate over the last 4 years has been favorable. Just now, one of our other friends has also mentioned about that. Then now here, you have said that this Socrates, Mercurix ideas, and this has got to do with the L&D, right? So, etc. have been launched by the organization to engage the millennials and arrest the attrition rate. Okay, because you are connecting this to the attrition also. Fair enough. There are also some numbers that are given on that Socrates, Mercurix, etc. So you could also give some data along with it, which will also go well. Now, this is what I was saying. Good. Now here, now one of you have identified the expenditure on L&D. Instead of using the word substantially, you say from how much to how much it went over. That is much better. And you also mentioned that number of programs have gone up. The outlay training budget has also gone up. The number of people who have been trained also, they have given some average number of mandates or absolute numbers. You can even mention that. Then that makes a stronger case for us to give a much better score. Next, what else? The applicant makes use of analytics for competency development. Now, you look at this statement. This is a good strength to write in criterion 3, L&D. Not here, because here it is result. They have given you a spider chart. They have told you how the job, the job competency has gone up over that spider chart. You can make an analysis of that and give a strength. But whatever the statement is written over here, this looks like an enabler statement. You can make use of this, but this has to be cut and pasted in criterion 3, not here in 6b. Chandramouli, you are not able to hear me? Maybe again you need to re-log in, because I have not found anybody else saying that there's no audio. Maybe there is some bandwidth issue at your end. Then talent management, succession planning model with a robust readiness index, matrix organization with identification of 12 number of probable successors. The organization gave developmental inputs to groom the probable successors, found them ready. Yes, this is also a strength, no doubt. Next, what else is there? This is very good. The financial results from the ideas. What is it? How is it that it has increased? Good. You are also trying to connect all the finance. This is a good idea here. All the financial related ones have been given together. One is the top line, the bottom line, the profitability, plus comparison of the market cap with its somebody else, and also the financial implication of the employee involvement activities, the improvement activities, how much you have been able to generate, that is also given. So all the finance at one go. I think this is a good strength and well consolidated and written also. Let us look at the OFI. What is the OFI here? While the applicant shows the training mandates, it is not, the trend is not presented. This looks like that sample OFI. But you need to bring a BPCL flavor into it, but you are saying applicant shows training mandates for the current year. Fair enough. Trend is not presented. But going by the amount spent, going by the number of ones, I think the training mandates may also be higher. You can check that in the site. And if it is valid, it is okay, or else you need to qualify this much better. Yeah, this is a good OFI. Don't say missing key factors over here. This is true with the scope of the results. What you are saying is there are many other indicators of rewards, recognition, as well as communication, knowledge management, etc., on which the data is not given. This is a good OFI on the scope, that parameters relating to knowledge management, communication, rewards, recognitions, etc., are not shared. I think this is a good valid OFI in terms of the scope of the results that are presented. Good. What else? Profit, I think you have given, that is good. Not clear how it measures leadership effectiveness. Okay. 3-year comparative rate of mandates lost due to absenteeism indicated decreasing trend. But better to keep the leadership one separate and then the other one, absenteeism, and the negative ones separate. Don't combine both of them because both of them are different themes altogether. Safety, okay, no trained 3-year data, there is considerable increase in the number of man days. Yeah, I think safety. Not only that, you can also make one of the key factors of saying that a global role model. They said that they also wanted to be a role model in the area of health and safety. So if you are looking at that aspiration, this sort of a data will really not do good to them. I think it's a good one. Only on the key factor, you need to replace it saying that global role model in health and safety as whatever they have said. We take the same thing. I hope I am audible now.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Now here there is one mistake. Never write the strengths and OFIs in the same one. Now if we are looking at over here, now this says this is a strength, this is an OFI. If so, because scoring के लिए बहुत मुश्किल होगा अगर ऐसे लिखना है तो what it would be better is you only mark this and give the strength over here. In the next one, you recreate this, you put only the red and then give the OFI. Because if you are marking both of them, we don't know what is it they are trying to say over here. Let us try to read out. We are saying that the segmented data on training has been presented location-wise with man hours, all that is fine, has been increasing along with the trend and has also been showing. But it is not clear how training results or outcome are used by the applicant. So you are combining a strength as well as an OFI, which is not a good idea. You write only the strength portion of it and mark it green. If you want to give an OFI on something else, be very explicit. You give another OFI. Never combine strengths and OFIs in the same band, and the coloring should not have red and green, both of them together. Not a good idea because it will be very difficult to score. Okay, next, what else? But why is it that you have commented only on 3? There are so many other things, no? They have given you so much of data on that accelerator and quite a lot of them. You should give all that. Here you have written that, but you should also give those numbers. That is much better. What else is there over here? Yeah, this is also, I think one of you have tried to use writing the elements of instead of elements, you can replace this as key factors, in which you can say key factors connected to values and culture, or one of the key factors might be to do with capability development, another might be the leadership pipeline development, another might be to do with the vision of the company. Okay, there is 0 man days, data reflects. Now here, if you look at one of our other friends, just now I showed you that he or she has given much more data in terms of the ideas from savings, how much of money, etc. So don't say only rise in savings. You say how much they were able to get, and you also say that number of suggestions implemented from so much to so much. That also is a good lead indicator of employee involvement, also connected to the financial, I would say, also to a financial metric, and then it would be much better. What is this then? So here also you have combined strength and OFIs together. This is not the right way. Write only a strength or only a OFI. That is good. And you must never use these words. Don't say this is robust, this is superlative, this is appreciated. No, we must never use those words. You just need to say that the company has a safety first and a safety first mantra. Based on this, but it is not clear as from the data as the outcome of the accidents, AFR should have a target of 0. Don't say that a AFR should have a target of 0. Fatality rate, it is almost known. Instead of that, hit them back saying on the key factor over here, say that your key factor is you are wanting to be a global role model on health and safety. Considering that there may be a need for you to relook at your targets, etc. Then that is much more hard hitting rather than saying that AFR should have a target of 0. So try to rephrase that in a much better way. This is good. Agreed. Then what else is over here? This is where I said, no, all these are perceptions. This will come under 6A. This is okay. What else is there here? I think we already went through this earlier. The company has defined succession planning as one of its strategic risk areas and created a succession planning model for LPG. But why is this coming under results? Whoever has written this, I don't know whether I have made a mistake or whether I made a mistake in terms of copying the enabler one, or you have written the results one like this. I am not too very sure. Let us look at what is the attribute. You are saying SISTTCC, but your statements are all looking like enablers. Here you are saying ready. You are talking about what? You are talking about succession planning. You are talking about readiness index. They have given you a diagram on those competency and the readiness index, etc. So your comment should be on the numbers that are there in the index. Then that is much better. Because here there are no numbers, so very difficult to make out what is it that you are trying to say. Here also they have done, though the company has done doing increasingly well in L&D and has a defined approach of being a learning organization, development of people is its core value. It would be prudent to set targets against benchmarks for the high performing peers and provide training. Instead of that, we spoke about that high performing work culture. Now you can convert this OFI into a key factor of high performing work culture and say that while you are aspiring to create a culture of high performing work environment, we don't see any lead indicators like number of people who have been recognized or number of exceptional guys who have contributed to that, etc. Such sort of a data is not presented. Then it becomes a very good OFI under the scope and also linked up to the key factor of that high enabling or that high performing work environment. That can be a good key factor for that. Next, what else? So a lot of strengths over here. Enable employees, the targets are clear, stating Now, I told you, the diversity in terms of the 3 years are clearly presented. They have not, and it is not required also. That is not a key process. It is inbuilt as a part of a PSU. So this may not be a strength. Somewhere there are too many things mixed. I think it is better to actually split this strength. In terms of absenteeism, etc., is what is in perfect alignment. Okay. Okay, what you are saying over here is this is a good strength is what you are saying, but you can be a little bit cryptic and you can add numbers. Otherwise, it does not convey too much. What else is there here? So however, no data is presented. I think this is good. This is a good OFI. Like we said on that high performing work environment, etc. This is good. No data is provided for level wise segmentation. So here you look at it now, you are saying that training data has been presented. No data is provided for level wise segmentation. So your OFI is on what? Your OFI is on the SIS. So your OFI is actually only on the segmentation portion of it and the trends. So SIS trend is there, but why your statement does not talk anything about the target? Neither does it talk about anything to do with the comparison also, not to do with the cause and effect. So your OFI going by here, whatever you have written over here, you are trying to talk about segmentation, you are trying to talk about the trends, due to which only these two need to be colored. So whatever you write here, only those need to be covered. Yes, please. Somebody had a doubt? Anything that you would want to share?
Nothing, sir. You just told na ki what is to be colored and how it is to be colored. I was saying it is well understood. That's all.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks. Then significant increase in the average scores is reported in 5 people competencies. However, no data points are observed regarding the targets for competency development and trends from the previous year. I think this is a good OFI because significant increase is there, but no data points are observed regarding the targets for competency development, because anyway they are trying to focus on competency development, building that leadership capability, etc. So they can have targets with respect to that. Fair enough. That is a good one. See here, you should not color this comparison, because you are not talking anything about comparison over here. Your statement is not talking. You are only trying to say that there is a downward trend. So target is, the trend is fine. But man-day loss is not something on which they are actually losing their sleep on. So it is not a strategic issue. So there is no need to color even the targets and comparison. It is only the trend which is good. The result is under scope under relevance. It is fair enough, not a problem. But your OFI nor your strength, it does not talk about anything to do with the segmented data. So only color whatever is applicable. That is good enough. Okay, so this is how the results need to be done. But all of you did a very good job in the second iteration for the enablers portion of it for criterion 2. But results, since this is the first time whatever you have done, there is an opportunity for you to do the scoring of the results much better in terms of writing. Because many of you have mixed both the green as well as the red in the same column, and you have missed out at quite a few points as well. And many of you have written it something like a prose. You have not written those numbers. Once you start doing it, then I think the quality of the result statements will also be much better. So let me also try to go back to the document to share a few insights on the results so that you will be able to score this much better. Just give me a moment. Let me go back and take you to the case study. The case study is here. Okay, let me try to take you through this. Let's go to 6B. Try to look at what are the strengths and OFIs which you have missed out. So as I said, I hope all of you are able to see the screen now on 6B. Are you able to see the 6B result? Okay.
Yes.
So the first one, the result what they have given over here, this is no good because it's got nothing to do with the result. So this we can take out, not pertinent to comment on this. This is also not pertinent to comment. Here, I think all of you have already given a good strength in terms of the attrition also coming down and regularly trying to build in, I think, capacity into the organization through the total campus recruits, etc. That is a strength. All of you have mentioned rightly so.
Mr. Shiva, this is
Yes,
Vijay.
this data regarding physically handicapped SC, ST, don't you think that can be considered under the inclusiveness instead of completely saying that that is not much required?
Which one on the
Yeah.
where is it?
Just next table. Yeah. This breakup on the permanent employees, the SC, ST, OBC, PWD, minorities, that having a higher percentage of all these different categories, don't you think that is a strength?
See, that there is a strength. I would say that in the results it may not be written. What I would suggest is, when you are trying to make a comment in criterion 5 on the recruitment or probably in the leadership when it comes to inclusion and the other ones, you can say the company has a practice of hiring all these categories of people, which makes it truly inclusive. It can be a strength in the enabler. Whenever we are trying to talk about results, now results was it a strategic challenge for them? Was it a strategic challenge trying to hire these categories of people? No. And also, can you have targets, comparisons, and trends every year on this? It may not be feasible, or it is not very strategic. Due to which, what I'm saying is, they make use of this data in whatever form they have given and say that the company has inclusiveness as a part of the approach, as a part of its recruitment. Result may they have not given as the 3-year data, and neither really doesn't matter also. Now, in your company also, is there any HR strategy? I am asking, please, but don't take me wrong. What I'm asking is, if the company has got a charter, there is some background noise. I request somebody to mute, please, in case if you are not speaking. Let me tell you as to how, if at all, if you would want to write a strength on it. I will share the examples of that. There was a certain company, which has a management charter or an agenda which says that by 2025, 25% of our employees will only be female employees. Now that is a task that the management has taken to itself, and it is there as a part of the strategy. In those cases, considering the context and the management, the management's drive towards getting in towards the 25% of the female workforce by 2025, then you can say we don't see trends which are moving towards that direction because there is a strategic goal that has been set. Then it makes sense. But here, the management has not put it up as a strategic or an HR challenge, or they have not taken it as a target that we want to enhance our inclusivity rate to this much, that much. They have not said anything. So in view of it, commenting on that may not really help. But you can take this input, connect it to an enabler, then it still becomes a good strength in criterion 5 as well as in criterion 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Next is what in resignations, many of you have found it out. Yes, it is certainly a strength.
And Mr. Shiva, in this attrition rate, there is some confusion with respect to the table headings and the column headings. So can we still give it as a strength?
Sorry, I lost the audio in between. Can you please repeat?
Because the table in this attrition, if you see clearly, the campus recruits and resignations, that is a table heading. Whereas in the column heading of that table, total gate recruits in the year, there is some kind of a confusion or a typing mistake or whatever. Can we still assume something and take it as a strength?
Generally, whenever you want to give it something like a strength or an OFI on that, it is the wisdom of the team. If you feel that it is a strength, you can go ahead and write it. Or if you think that does not need a mention, it is perfectly fine. It is at the discretion of the team. And then there is another comment over here by Bhupesh. Rightly so, Bhupesh, you have pointed out a very valid point. PSUs are mandated by the GOI instructions to have a certain fixed percentage of this, because so that you are meeting the social obligations. Because PSUs were meant initially long back to generate employment. Now it is also used to make sure that all the categories of people find employment. So it is there as a part of the government agenda, and your recruitment rules, all the PSU recruitment rules have been framed in such a way that invariably it factors this as a part of the design. So it may more or less in one of the ways it would appear to be more something like a compliance rather than excellence. If I would say, if a private company also follows your example of saying that I will have so much percentage of SC, ST, OBC, PWD, and I will have targets for it. If a private company has that sort of a charter and is following it, then it will be certainly considered as an excellent practice. But for a PSU, because you are mandated by the government or you are mandated by your the primary shareholder, whichever is the sector which is overseeing you, it becomes much more of a compliance requirement. So while it will be a strength, it will not give you an extraordinary strength. Bhupesh, was that what you were trying to point out, right? I hope all of you got what Bhupesh had written and my response to that.
Yes, sir, I was trying to make on this point only. Because as a PSU, we are required to follow certain instructions, certain guidelines.
That is right.
Yeah. And definitely when as a PSU we go in the market, so it's very difficult to get very difficult to fill up all these percentage. So if a company is making effort to fill up those percentage, then certainly it is a compliance also, and if considered
Also a
appropriate.
step in the right direction. I don't think we must give that as an OFI, not really. Because when the company is mandated, it will always try to make sure that whatever competence is required, if it is available in that pool, they will certainly take it. I don't think there are 2 points about it. You are right. So I think on this, many of you have already given a strength, plus also many of you, we discussed initially in the morning also, there can be an OFI on the segmentation portion of it also, because many details of the segmentation have also not been given. Because had they given laws, mandate laws due to absenteeism. Now mandate laws due to absenteeism, it can also become because of working conditions. It can be more in one particular category. Yes, please.
Sir, just before this, the one we were talking about, the table just before this, where they are talking about the attritions. Yes, sir, these two tables. If we have a look at these two tables, now the GATE recruits and resignations and the campus recruits and resignations, there's a differing trend. Now, overall, if we try to have a look at the attrition in the company, then we have a mixed feel in this. So whether there should be a strength or an OFI.
Okay, good point. This logic holds good for many of the issues which you will discuss as a part of the consensus. Many a time, the opinion within the team will be divided. When you say, if you are asking me whether should I give this as a strength or an OFI, it may not be right for me to either say it is a strength or an OFI. Why? Because even if the senior assessor says it is a strength or an OFI, take it from me, I am telling you so, I don't think it is a right point. Ultimately, in the team, you will have to reason it out, you have to fight it out, whether this data is aggregate or whether this is segmented, whether there is a true representation of the data or not. If you are not able to come to a consensus, if the team is not able to come to a consensus on that, if in doubt, please, I am repeating, this is for any criterion, any enabler, any result. If in doubt, put it as an OFI. Only when all the four of you comprehensively agree that it is a strength, then it becomes a strength. If in doubt, put it as an OFI and follow it up with a site visit issue. You say that you look at, maybe this will also help you to look at, see, this is where just like in an ISO audit, whatever you do, even in assessment, carrying an assessment trial is good. When you are saying that the GATE recruits versus the campus recruits or many of the others, you can also get into the attrition analysis. You can look at the exit interview results. You can look at as to why is it that people are moving out. If there are very talented guys who are going out, then there is something in the policy of the talent management which is actually not working. Then that is where from the result you must go back to an enabler. If let us say one of you who is a part of this assessment team, if your deep diving into this particular data in terms of the integrity, in terms of the segmented data, then you would find that no, there is something wrong in the talent management policy. We would want to look into it. Then your other colleague who is looking into talent management will take this data, go over there and try to look at the attrition analysis as to why is it that the gate recruits or people who are competent are leaving. Then it could probably result in some good OFI coming out because of I would say some lacuna in the talent management system or probably in the policy. This is how, do not look at only from a scoring perspective. Always from the results, you must go back to the enablers. From the enablers, you must come back to the results. It is an iterative process. Only then you will be able to look into many of the other aspects. Do not look at it in isolation. Mujhe attrition dekhna hai, and this is what is a strength, this is what is an Wi-Fi. No, you must go into the details of why it is happening, the causal factors, as well as that learning and improvement. This is what is a value add, what you will be able to give to the company, because they might not have looked it from that angle at all. This is what is that blind spots which you will be able to remove. So the answer for this point is, if in doubt, put it as an OFI, follow it up with a site visit issue, then you will get your clarifications when you go over there. Right? So now look at this here, training mandates. Now there is also some good thing, not so very good thing. Now look at this training mandates. They have given you on LPG, they have given you on retail, they have also given something on the refinery. So the data is segmented in terms of the different business lines, LPG, refinery, as well as this, and they have also given some segmentation. So Kochi refinery, Mumbai refinery, and also Northeast. So the data is more or less is segmented across the business lines and is also segmented across regions, and also maybe the man hours also. So from this you can make an inference and give a good strength on the training and also mark the segmentation and then the different business lines also. Now I also want your attention onto the OPEL. Now the OPEL also says if you are looking at the enabler OPEL, it said that the process is implemented all across different areas. Now here, if you are trying to look at training as a process, training, when we come to the deployment, training as a subject is applicable or is being deployed. The training process is good in LPG. It is also available in retail and it is also available in the refinery. So across all the potential areas, the training activity is being completed. Similarly, when you come to the OPEL for results, SIS, segmentation, it means training mandates have been segmented based on all the three different business lines, based on all the 3 or 4 areas or the regions of North, East, Southwest. That is what constitutes a strength. Now look at this percentage coverage of L&D management staff diversity. What has this got to do with the results? Can anybody share? Is this something? Is there some insight? What is over here? What do you infer out of this table? Percentage coverage, L&D management staff diversity. What is this? According to me, it is nonsensical. It means nothing. How can you ever design a L&D strategy based on diversity of the employees? Actually, from a mature company, such things should not come out. This is very, very, very poor. This is a classical case of the data being presented. Neither is it relevant, nor is it usable from any perspective. Very poor representation of data. But here, yes, it is good. You look at it, number of training programs are also increasing. And as an assessor, you must look at why did it go from this 504 to 771? Which are the new areas which these trainings encompassed? Is it aligned to the company's new growth areas? This is where you must look at. As an assessor, don't look blindly only at the numbers. 500 se 700 gaya. But 500 se 700 kyun gaya? What were these 200 new programs all about? In which area did it go? That is where you must find. And please remember, companies run by themselves. Companies are not run because of excellence models. you must try to go out and find out what is it that is good that this company is doing. So there is something good over here. So you must go in depth, analyze, only then you will identify that something good is going on and you will be able to bring out that excellence. Many a time, the company may be doing very good things, but they may not be able to bring it out. As an assessor, it is your job to bring out the excellence in that particular company. Because, as I said, no company is applying or writing all this only for an award. They believe that they are doing a good job. They may not know the model. Since you know the model, you ask the right questions, bring out all the best practices and help the company to be showcased as a real good HR organization. That is also a responsibility of the assessor as well. And if you are an applicant, it also becomes your responsibility to know that you are doing a good job and you must also show that to the external world. So excellence is to be showcased both by the applicant as well as uncovered by the assessor. So it's a dual responsibility. Now, many of you have already talked about that, the ANOVA, about the competencies that are available. So this was a good strength as well. And somewhere a few of you, I think few of you commented, few of you did not comment on this. They have also talked about something to do with how they have classified the talent. And as a part of it, if you are looking at, this is something good, no? Don't look at a trend over here, because we cannot say that the number of successors are increasing. That is not our idea. The idea is, the lead indicator is they do have a good bench strength in case of a drop dead. They already have number of probable successors who are all listed out in those different age brackets. This would be a good strength for you to write. Similarly, in the number of grievances, because this is a public sector company, and they have also said that those delivery of services, etc., and grievance when it comes to people management in HR, in a PSU, obviously is important. So this is a relevant and a usable result, and at least it appears to be good. It is not surprising that most of them are because of promotion and transfer, on which there are certain protocols, so it's absolutely fine. But at least the data has been given and it is going down. Credit to the company that they have been trying to address these issues and bring it down over a period of time. Many of you have rightly identified it also as a strength. Absolutely no issue on that. Then this is what I think few of you have clubbed all the financial indicators into one, in terms of the financial saving accruing out of the ideas, the human capital added value. And this is also good that the profit after taxes is going up, manpower also going down. That also shows that the productivity is good. It is a performing organization that is also aligned to their key factor of high performance. This is something that you can look at. Don't you think so? One is, of course, we had an OFI with respect to the number of people who are high performers, identification, that is not there. But if you are looking at the business results, this conveys a real good strength of the company. If you are looking at the profit after tax is going up, whereas the manpower is going down. So what does it indicate? It indicates an element of high performance. There is a key factor which says that they are wanting to create a high performing environment, and that is very much aligned to it. So you must give a thumbs up on that. You must give it a good strength. So these are some things, and obviously profit per employee, you have already commented on this, and all the others on this HR awards, all these to be cut and pasted in criterion 6A. This is not applicable for criterion 6B. So this was something on the result criterion. And yesterday we had already seen that they had given us some data of that accelerator, Exceed or Excalibur or many of those things, which you can take from the other ones and you can paste it in 6B. So that was about the result criterion and the marking. So just to share my outlook towards the activity, whatever you had done yesterday, I think the second iteration of like how they say, practice makes a person perfect. You did the enabler activity twice. It came out really well in terms of criterion 2. the marking, the quality of the statements, the number of sentences in the statement, they all came up very, very well yesterday when we discussed. Since results, it is the first time whatever you have done. So obviously there were some gaps, but I am worried. I don't want to ask you for doing the exercise the second time because I am worried whether you will come back to the program tomorrow morning or not. So that is the reason why I took some extra time off to discuss quite a lot of the result criteria. But fair enough, I think all of you at least did your exercises for all the 3 days. So I won't burden you too much. What we will do tomorrow is being the last day of the program. I think more or less all the topics have been covered. Tomorrow what is left out is the scoring of the enabler as well as the scoring of the result criteria. Now, criterion 2, yesterday I showed you whatever all of you had done, the markings. So that input is available. We have already gone through that. And today, all of you have shared your result criterion. I've gone through many of them. I've pointed out what are the lacunas. How is it that you can write the result statements much better? Now, with these inputs, tomorrow, I will help you to go through the scoring, because on the right hand side, we have still not done any work on the UPIL, on that 25, 50, 75 and 100, where that scoring range and the things were there. Tomorrow, we will complete the scoring. And I think through that, we should be able to end the program. And going by the timelines, whatever are there, tomorrow, while the program is from 10 to 1, I think we should be able to complete the result criterion within probably a couple of hours. And I would also want you to relook at the entire PPCL document, as well as the model, as well as go through the UPIL, make a list of your questions, so that tomorrow we will first complete the results section, and also whatever questions you have, we will clear out all those doubts as well. Because since we are also luckily well in control of the time, and we can invest some good amount of time in answering any points that are still not clear to you. So Vandana, you have a question. You are saying how much of importance to the lag factors?
Yeah, I'll be a bit more in detail. Like the lag indicators which are specifically related to finances.
See, the lag indicators, there are two varieties of lag indicators when we are looking at this case study or anywhere. One is the business outcome is a lag indicator on which we would have already talked about it in criterion B6B just now, because it talked about market capitalization. It talked about the turnover. It also, sorry, not about the turnover. It talked about the profit. It also talked about certain targets that were put up for your cost reduction. These are some of the outcomes which will take some time for us to. So this is an outcome. And some of the other lag indicators are obviously they come in criterion 6A. So as we are seeing this booklet, let me also take you through this 6A. I hope this screen is still visible of the case study.
Yes, Shiva. Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Let us also quickly run through 6A. How well is it written? How well is it not written, etc. Now we are looking at 6A. It has participated in the best employers study, and they are given some details of the engagement index, leadership index, performance index, in which the detail is also given about what is the India average. Where do they stand vis-a-vis the India average as well as against the top quartile. And they are also saying what is the previous score. But however, many a time it is quite possible that the company might have engaged with this particular agency only from the last 2 years, and the year before that it could be with different agency. Then in that case, you must ask the question, or if you are an applicant yourself, if you got two different sets of data, you are supposed to explain whether the scores have gone up or not. You can't expect the assessors to do that. That is one point. And then one of the lacuna, that is the reason why we did not take up 6A as an exercise for doing the activity for the result criteria, because the segmented results are not given. And the results over a period of time is also not given over here. And even when we get into this, exhibiting trust, achieving results, they have given phase 1. But when was this phase 1? When was this phase 2? They said 3,600 across 113 locations. This is good. But this was done in which particular year? That is not given over here. So which year? We do not know the trends. We don't know how it has gone. So very difficult to comment. So 6A section is not all that great. Of course, they have given some information on the coaching as well as the mentoring, some of the perceptions of the people. They could even given, talent management, growing the leadership pipeline was a very important indicator for this company. Ideally, they could have given how many number of coaches, how many number of mentors are there or mentees are there. They could have given that as a lead indicator. If the number of mentees or coaches would have gone up, that also shows that there is a very serious dialogue going on in the organization in terms of coaching and mentoring, which is aligned to the leadership pipeline, capacity building. They could have actually given that. So those are again some indicators that are missing. Similarly, psychological counseling data. Now this is a lead indicator. This is not a lag indicator. Psychological counseling, so many people have availed, which means that the company is also trying to look at that wellness. So ideally, this data should have come in 6B, or you should have taken it and you should have written it in 6B. And then what else? I mean, they have talked about stress audits, but unfortunately, this criterion 6A has not given any segmented data of the employee perceptions across different lines of the business. It has also not talked about the satisfaction levels of the people across the category of employees also. So 6A is very, very poor in this document. Now they have given a customer care system. Now customer care system, suggestions, overall complaint, these are all got to do with the product. It has got nothing to do with HR. So this was not required to be presented at all, not relevant. So 6A was very, very poor. Had we tried to do criterion 6A in BPCL, we would not have understood anything. That is the reason why I asked you to do 6B, at least because 6B was a little bit better. Fair enough. So I think that was what we thought of finishing today.
Sir, just one query. Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yes. Now clear.
Okay, sir. Now CSR is one activity which is very. I'm talking from the point of view of NTPC as an applicant. So CSR is something which is very central to our boundary management and our stakeholder engagement part.
CSR, is it?
Yeah. So it's a very important activity of HR. Because that is one way in which we engage with our stakeholders outside the organization. So can we include that as key results in our application and position report for NTPC? Because we do a substantial amount of work in that aspect.
See, you are doing a substantial amount, but when you are looking at the model requirement, where does CSR come in? CSR does not have an explicit section in the HR excellence model. But whereas if you are looking at business excellence, yes, CSR comes out as a very clear, I would say, one enabler in which there is a clear section on it. But here, what you can write, certainly there is a role. What is it that you can do? If your employees are involved in volunteering activities, if the employees have spent certain number of hours, the employee involvement in CSR activities can come in as one of the lead indicators. Or when you are trying to present perceptions, how do the community, how do they look at the employees of NTPC being an enabler or being engaged with them for societal activities? That is something that you can give. But CSR as such, the model is not asking you very much. It might be an additional scope of activity for HR to have included CSR for whatever historical reasons in NTPC or many other companies. But in an HR excellence assessment, what we look at from a CSR angle is purely the employee involvement percentage or the absolute number of people who are involved in that or who are volunteering. So that comes under either 6A or 6B for perception and performance, nothing beyond that.
So I'll give you another example. If you see,
Yeah.
industrial relations is one of the key aspects of our operations. Now,
IR is okay.
so most of the employees who are like members of the union, they're also members of the surrounding communities. So while
Okay.
so my union leader could also be a project affected person, right, sir? So
Very good. Good.
So when I'm interacting, when the second team is interacting with them in the capacity of union leaders, they might also be giving feedback with this what is NTPC doing for the community. So there's the role of being a community person versus them being union officials. It merges. It's a mix. So how do we as applicants ensure that we are reflecting all those things in our position report?
Very good point, Mujtaba, and also very much valid for a company like you. Let us say for a company like NTPC or somebody who is in the mining business, let's say it could be a Tata Steel or it could be many of the companies in the eastern region. And I'm only not trying to talk about an eastern region. I'm trying to talk about places in which the company has set up operations, due to which there has been some displacement of the local community, due to which you also need to work. And many a time the relationship with the community would also be required as a part of the, I would say, the business continuity. In those cases, certainly you can look at it. There are a few places in the criteria, especially in criterion 4. In criterion 4, when there is something to do with that harmonious industrial relations, as well as how is it that you are connecting, how is it that the people are connecting with the society. Don't give it from I would say, a society or a CSR angle. Try to look at it from a people engagement angle. How is it that people are engaged with the community for continuity of the business, as well as in terms of making an impact maybe on the social portion of it? You can bring that flavor. At the same time, when you are saying that your union leader is also an ambassador of the company because he is also working on the areas of CSR. Now, we shared with you that in criterion 6A, the model is also asking, how does the community perceive your people? Now, that people could be many of the NTPC employees who were displaced, who are today a part of it, but unfortunately, your people and your community, both of them should be different. You cannot say that because I have given employment to the people who are displaced, so they are community. No, because they are already your employees. If the people belonging to the community are not a part of your employee segment, you are also free to share the perceptions of the community on how your people are viewed in the community, or how they are contributing to the local community, how they are doing, let's say, active volunteering, or maybe they might be involved as a part of the health camps, whatever. So bring out the people involvement in CSR, plus as well as people engagement with the community, and how the community perceives the employees of, I would say, NTPC. You can bring that flavor. Do not bring in the union leader's flavor. Union leader might be one. It is quite possible that other than the union leader, there could be other management staff also who are also working or who are also perceived to be good by the community. You can bring out all that. You can bring testimonials. You can do a dipstick survey. They can all certainly be presented in the report. All these are certainly very contextual. The same thing may not hold good for, let's say, Priyanka, who comes in from a BPO thing. That may not be fit the context, but whereas in case of NTPC, it fits the context. That is perfectly fine. So don't bring the CSR, bring the employee involvement, engagement with the community and their perception, then you would have done justice to it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, please. Any other doubts? So, if nothing else,
Participants, Shiva, we will be, just want to make an announcement. Nagma will be sharing the SSA profile form with all of you today. So you can just fill it up and share it with us at the earliest possible. By Monday, means if you can start from today only. So it's just a 1-page form. Do share the profile form with us so that we can include you in this year assessment process.
and one more point, just to follow up from Sumana, while you are giving your assessor profiles, please be very sure that you will be available for the assessment and you need your senior or your reporting officers okay to participate in an assessment, because you might be interested, but if your job profile does not allow you, if you say yes, if you join the assessment, then later not able to contribute, then it will be very difficult for us also to replace. There is also a column which says, are you willing to participate in the assessment? Will you be able to be there for full time? Please look into it and then give a commitment. But by design, by default, we would love to have most of you as a part of the assessor team. But you must be able to give that sort of quality of time as well as the intensity, whatever is required. So please do fill up those forms, share it with Sumana and Nagma, and we will meet up tomorrow again, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, last session. Right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye bye.